Good morning, dear audience. Today we have with us a visionary leader and change maker, Mr. Tarun Bhalla, CEO of Avishkaar, a pioneering edtech company driving innovation all across India. Good morning, sir. Welcome to our podcast. We'd first like to know about your school life. How were you as a student?
Good morning, Sarthak. As a student, how was I? Um, I was, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this show. It's an honor
Welcome, sir.
and privilege. Now, coming back to the school life, I was a mix, like I was like any other child. I was good at academics. I was focused, but at the same time, I was fairly notorious. So I was sort of a backbencher in a class, but at the same time, I managed to get some good academics. So neither the teachers nor my family was upset with me.
Sir, were there any incidents or anything which gave you the idea of starting up with this idea?
Okay. There were, I would like to believe, good incidents, but there were a couple of memorable incidents which brought me to where I am. Um, First one was actually a positive one and a good one. I was in grade five, and back in the school day, there was this we used to have this concept of SUPW,
Yes, sir.
where we would actually take up some activities that we like to do. My father very accidentally signed me up for a program called Electronic Gadgets.
Yes.
I was in grade five. I'm talking about maybe 30 years before now, and what we were doing in that particular SUPW class was we were doing soldering, we were making PCB, we were creating designs. So very interestingly, the smell of PCB or smell of soldering, which is actually fairly nauseating, was something that I used to like or get attracted to. So that was a very distinct memory I have, a memory of smelling the solder in the electronics gadget lab, and I thought, this is fun, fantastic, and I would like to do in life. Then there was another incident which was not, which was not, I would say, which was not very positive. But I was in grade nine, and we used to have this thing called science exhibitions.
Yes.
And we had a science exhibition in the school, and I was absolutely gungo, living in my dream world. I wanted to make a robot. I was in grade nine. I went to the library, bunking few classes, figuring out how to make a robot. We never used to have internet at that point of time. So the class that I bunked, unfortunately, was a physics teacher. So she kind of got hold of me after the class, and she asked me, "Where were you?" I told her, "Ma'am, I was gone because I wanted to build a robot." It was a sad thing, and she shouldn't have done that. But she did this. She made me stand in front of 40 other kids and said, "Dekho bhala robot banayega." So it was fairly demotivating for me. But at the same time, I wrote a note to myself that ek din to ye bhala robot banayega, aap dekh lena. So I took it positively, but I don't think it should have happened. So those were two incidents. One, a very deep, natural, passionate love for the smell of solder, and the second one was somebody challenging me, and I taking up a challenge in my own time and life to say, okay, watch me, what I can do.
Yes, so thank you for sharing your journey. When you started up with this idea, what were the problems that you came across and what the difficulties you faced while starting your project?
So I make robotics, AI, and coding kits.
Yes, sir.
We do that as a part of Avishkar. We do that for India. We do that for rest of the world as well. When I started almost 15 years back, nobody had heard of the concept of robotics in education. Now it is, every school worth their salt, or every institution which is trying to think positively and in future wants to have it. So one was, to convince people that there is something like robotics or STEM education, which is a requirement for schools or requirement for any country if they want to move forward. So that in itself, that education of the audience was difficult. um, Apart from that, what other things were difficult were, we are making actual hardware in India, and this is a fairly state of the art next generation hardware. So finding all sorts of supply chain for that. So when I say
Yes.
supply chain, I mean, where to get the PCBs made, where to get the boxes made, where to get the metal fabricated, where to get the plastic molds done, where to get the right kind of skilled people, people who could write embedded hardware, embedded software, or people who could design packaging and so on and so forth. So every part of making the product required some sort of skilled labor behind it, which is not, at least at that point of time, was not in ample supply. There wasn't ample support for entrepreneurship. There wasn't ample support for robotics in education. There were not ample engineers to do that for us. So everything was a struggle. But I wish, at least what I can say is, if it was easier, I would not have been fun.
Yes, sir. You said that it was hard to convince everybody in India that robotics is a thing, and we also know that there is a stereotypical thinking that parents want their students to be enrolled in academics only, and if they are taking any co-curricular activities, they want to be at sports. So, how were you able to convince them for enrolling their children in things like robotics and engineering?
See, I think here I would say, probably, I would say you're not absolutely 100% on saying that parents are not, parents are not.
Generally,
Yeah, I think that generation has changed. I would say parents in my time were slightly more academic focused, but now I think, being a parent myself, I think the dominant mindset is, if you find your child is good at something, is excelling at something, you do tend to support them. So for something like robotics, it was, I think over a period of time it has become easier. I remember having calls where it was very difficult to convince a parent what is the point of doing that. But one of the things that work in our favor, one is, when you make a robot, it's there for you to see. So any parent would get excited if they see their child has made a robot which can follow, which can make autonomous decisions. And also, what is happening is, across the world there is this whole idea about, there is this whole tailwinds which are there, which is AI, robotics, coding, and how these things are going to change the world. So I think now it's far more easier. But yes, in the beginning it was difficult. But at the same time, I would say there is a unique ability of robotics to attract people, whether young or adult, towards it. And there is also a unique demonstration ability of robotics, where the knowledge which otherwise which we gain in, in subjects like mathematics, science, computer science, we are not able to demonstrate that in other places. Whereas in the field of robotics, the robot is there for you to see. It is a product of what you have created.
sir. Was it like that before lockdown also, or was there a drastic change in children taking skills in the lockdown period?
Lockdown has had an impact. I'm not sure, if anyone has talked about, what is the impact that lockdown has had in the domains of education, and specifically STEM education. But I do see now, since you asked the question, I can tell you with some reasonable amount of confidence. Earlier, parents or children had access to a lot of other technological gadgets outside of a classroom, and classroom, if it was boring, they would still, do with it. But now I think the schools have realized the children have become far more impatient, and they need more creative things to be engaged with. So the process of creativity coming into the classroom, or hands-on learning or active learning coming into the classroom, that process has accelerated, that I can say. See, earlier you could have engaged a bunch of 30 odd kids in a classroom by giving them a lecture.
Yes.
But I think doing that in today's day and age, after lockdown, with the advent of so much technology, I think that's a tough nut to crack.
Yes, sir. Sir, talking about the lockdown period, after that we have saw a bloom in artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
So, how is that aiding your project?
It's aiding our project in many different ways. One is an absolute societal way. So when I say societal way, what it means is the fact that everyone is talking about AI, and something that, something that has become a part of our lives now, sort of slice of life.
Yes,
Like, you use chat GPT on
and other areas.
in
Yes,
in doing your homework. Do you?
yes, sir.
Okay, so I
As an
mean,
help. as a
As a
help.
help. Yeah, yeah. Glad that you qualified that. So as you use chat gpt, or as you use the, you access so much technology, you understand, and this you is not you as a student or you as a child. This you is anyone in the society. They understand the value of AI, right? So from a society perspective, everyone understands that AI is important. So as a parent, we are always thinking about ensuring that skill is there in our children. So society level, there is an acceptance that AI is a very important skill, and people are positive, are expecting that to be a part of our education system. That is one. So that has helped us, because this is what we sell, right? The second thing is, even the things that we do. So earlier, something that would take us many months to accomplish, I think that time has reduced by 1/10 in some places, by 1/20th in other places. So a lot of curriculum designing, we use a lot of AI to develop books for us. And for a lot of content development, as far as videos is concerned, we use a lot of AI for us. I mean, I wish I could have shown you this, but we recently launched a promotional video for one of our products, and it was actually a rap song by, with one of our products in the center. The rap song was written by one of our people, and an AI generated music app created the rap song for us. So earlier, maybe 5 years back, I would have thought about investing a lot of money, and on resources, on artists, on creativity. But this thing was done in a jiffy. So AI, in that sense, it's helping us, because that's what we sell. It's helping us in further reaching out to the audience. It is also improving our efficiency. It is also enabling us to do a lot of things which earlier we would not have thought possible.
Sir, you said that you used artificial intelligence to create a rap song. So, can we say that it is actually killing human creativity?
Oh, very interesting question. See, any advent of technology, and I know AI is slightly different because it is, you know, s- it's slightly different, but any advent of technology. So whether you know, it was the entry of cars or transportation vehicles, when you used to do, when you used to ride horses or horse cart. So one could have said, yes, it took some of the purity of the profession away, but what it does is it frees up your time, and you are able to put that time in some other creative pursuit. In fact, I would say the only thing that we can for sure say, that AI, at least for next 50 years, will have no impact on, is how we feel,
Yes.
right? So machine cannot make us feel certain things. That feeling can only be done by somebody who's creative, who's empathetic, who's observing emotions. So while yes, a lot of mediocre work will be done by, or entry level work would be done by AI now, but the work which will always matter will be done
By humans.
by humans. I would like to make a quote here. They say that the most precious things, or rather the most beautiful things in the world, are free. Like a mother's
Yes.
love for her child is free. The child is not paying anything, right? But after that, the second most precious things are always most expensive. So why I say something like that is because the human creativity will always lead to the most beautiful things. But machine learning, or AI, can lead to things which are mediocre. Yeah. So if you're into mediocre stuff, yes, if you're producing mediocre stuff, your job is a threat right now. But if you're amazing at what you do, you should not be worried about it.
So, sir, you are saying that the ones who do good will stay and the ones who do bad will just sort out.
Not bad only. Once you do mediocre work, also will find their jobs will have challenges. Yeah.
And, sir, what advice will you give to students with ideas like how they can use artificial intelligence to create successful ventures like Avishkar?
So you know any so basically, whenever some new technologies are launched, or when new technologies arrive, they lead to some sort of disruption, some sort of chaotic moments. So chaos always throws up opportunities. I think there is a, at this point of time, if I would say, there is a lot of scope of AI in areas of education, areas of medicine, areas of defense, then areas like traffic control, city management. So AI will have an application in pretty much every aspect of our life. Think of it like this: computers, when they came in initially, they were logged in computer labs at big research
Yes.
institutions. Then maybe they went to school labs, then they went to offices, and now if you look at it, a computer has advented into every aspect of our life. They are playing a critical role in how we consume content, how we consume food with apps. So they are becoming a part of every bit of our life. Same is going to happen to AI. So you can probably pick an area that you are passionate about, that pick a problem that you feel is something which can be solved by AI, whether it is the traffic problem of Delhi or whether it is the traffic problem of India. If you can somehow identify AI as a way to solve it, I think you will have tremendous, your venture will have tremendous scope. So pick an industry that you feel very passionate about. So I would say, think of it differently. Think of the problem first, not the tool that you have as a solution. If you put the problem first, then you will be able to come up with a solution which will have large scale application.
Thank you, sir. We have students who have ideas, but like they don't have the other required skills to matlab, make their idea practical in market. So how they can use AI to get those skills, or like use it to do their work?
So I'm confused by your question. Okay, I think it has two parts to it.
Yes, sir.
So one is, how do students who have ideas, how do they bring knowledge to, or
Yes,
their
sir.
ideas to reality? Is that the
Yes,
first
sir.
part of the
Yes.
question? And the second part is, how do they use AI?
Yes.
Two things. One is, as I said in my last part, that if they start thinking about ideas as vehicles to solve problems, if they have a mindset where they see a problem which is bothering many 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 people. So first of all, they have to evaluate what is the idea. So they don't start with the idea that, hey, this is an idea I have, why not everyone starts using it. It doesn't work like that. Your idea has to solve a problem which is very pressing for a lot of people. If you are solving a problem which is very pressing for a lot of people, you will be able to solve it. You'll be able to, if you are able to successfully create a solution, you'll be able to take it to a lot of people. So first part of your question, to answer, I would say, is have the mindset that you're looking at an opportunity as a problem to solve, not as an idea I have. So you understand the difference between the two.
Yes, sir.
One approach is, this is, I have a bottle, everyone should have a, should buy this bottle. No. So you're essentially, the water bottle is not, it's not an idea. There's a problem you're trying to solve, that people have thirst and they need to drink. So if you can provide it, if you're solving their thirst problem, then you have a, you have an opportunity in place. Now, how does AI help? See, one of the things which I would say, which probably not sure if it's true for these younger kids these days, but we were always thinking about having a perfect solution, then going to the market, and then basically with the perfect solution, going out in the market and then selling it, and rather going out for adoption. What which in very few cases is the right approach, but in a large number of cases, you have to always follow this approach of spiral prototyping. So what I mean by spiral prototyping is, you build something, you test it, and then you ship it, and then you build it, you test it, you ship it. Right? So this is, you start from, you go through these spirals, and that's how in the end you come up with the highest quality product. So personally, I am a big fan of that model. So what AI can do is, they can reduce the cycles of this, build, test, ship, build, test, ship. They can reduce the time between build and test. They can reduce the time between test and ship. They can reduce the time between ship and build again. So AI can be very useful in that perspective.
So, sir, like you are saying that it can aid, but still some skills are required on the student's part to use that technology for their betterment.
Yeah, of course.
And sir,
Think
you
of AI as any other tool. Think of it as, for instance, an artist is not as good as the brush that artist is
yes,
using. So brush, it's the other way around. Brush is just a tool. uh, a good artist will have a fantastic hand-eye coordination, an incredible vision of what they are trying to draw. Brush is just a tool. AI is just a tool to solve problems that we face as humans.
yes, thank you, sir. Sir, you innovation widely and witness innovation firsthand. So, what technological trends you see would aid the process of education in India?
That's a fairly loaded question. I think that we have a problems in the domains of education in many areas. But having said that, since you mentioned that I have witnessed education trends across the world, which is true. I have traveled far and wide in almost all the continents. I have interacted with educators from all these continents. Have first hand seen schools. I would say India is doing fairly well, actually phenomenal as far as the school education is concerned. Institution like yours, or even schools in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or even the rural part of the country, schools are doing okay. They're doing good job, right? Our challenge in education is not at the school level. Our challenge in education is at a higher education level, where there is not much original research happening. So which unfortunately you and I can't solve. That's a problem that the policymakers or the government has to solve. um, but at the same time, I think what we can do is, we can always improve. So I did want to mention that we are not that bad, right? But we can always improve. So if we can somehow make so unfortunately, that's a part of our curriculum and policy again. We, in our board examinations, or which is either CBSE, ICSE, IB, or whatnot, we are very good at adding stuff. We add more subjects, but we are not really good at minusing the stuff. So now what happens is your teacher is highly overworked. Students are also sometimes highly overworked at things that probably have no relevance in today's day and age. So if we can somehow, someone can methodically decide, you know you don't need to learn everything. Remove, make a teacher's job easier so that she can spend more time, or he can spend more time in ensuring that the student has really learned, and bring interesting examples in the classroom. If we can make learning more hands on, fantastic. So all the work, I would say, that we need to do as a country is on improving the quality of education, and that too can happen if I'm not into 15 things, I would say. Just minus a lot of curriculum which is not necessary in school. I think a lot would change in the next decade or so.
Sir, what's your take on the textbook knowledge? Like, what would be what would be given more relevance, textbook knowledge or practical learning?
Very good question. I do have a bias towards action. So I would say I would say practical knowledge is better. But I think at the same time, this is it takes me back to one of the very interesting discussions I had with my boss in America. Her name was Melanie Crossan. She was a gold medalist in the university. I was never a gold medalist in the university, and I was just cracking a joke at her, saying that okay, great shakes, you have got a gold medalist, and I am working here at the same place, and what's the difference? I had a better time in school. But she told me one thing which has stuck with me. She said gold medalist is not only representative of your academic skills. It is also representative of the fact that you were disciplined, you were detail oriented, you were meticulous. These are good qualities to have any day, any age, right? So the reason I would say is your academic prowess or your academic skills also reflect a certain amount of rigor, a certain amount of meticulous or detail orientedness in terms of you to conceptually understand something. And if you can build on top of it with actual implementation of practical skills, you are a deadly combination. Typically people tend to go on one extreme. Either they are very good at academics, understanding the abstract concept, or they are very good at practical oriented skills. I think the future belongs to those who can probably come in the center and have a good balance of the two.
Sir, if you were in class 10th now with the knowledge that you have, so what would you start building?
Okay, so again, with the knowledge I have, I am not an academician. I am an entrepreneur. You know, uh, I have uh, I have done a lot of crazy stuff, failed a lot of times, failed far more number of times than I have succeeded. So I would say, with that knowledge, I think one of the things that we do not really tell in India, and we not focus on in India in majority of schools, is an ability to communicate our ideas. We are very good at mugging up the ideas. Or one of my professors used to say, you commit to information, then you vomit information in an examination. So if we can teach communication skills, ability to tell stories, which used to be there in our culture, which is still there in our culture but not there in our academics, if we can develop that one skill, how do you communicate ideas to a 5-year old? If you cannot tell a story of a complex subject to a 5-year old, then you have really not mastered that subject. So I would say, communication and ability to tell stories is something, if I could go back and change in myself and become a little more extrovert, I would do that.
So, sir, if you had to start Avishkar from scratch up, so what different strategies would you adopt this time?
So as of course, in hindsight, it seems like I made a lot of mistakes, but I do know that those mistakes were a function of the time, function of the context. uh, I would not make many changes, just to become a little more richer a little sooner. I would develop software first and hardware later.
So,
That's it.
so
Yeah.
that was the main problem that you faced while starting.
Yeah, hardware is difficult to do, so software is easier to do. So I chose to fight the harder battles first, which as a philosophy I don't find as a problem. You have to, you if you start with harder battles, you're ready. So now I feel ready for the world. But had I done software only, success would have come a little earlier to me. But yeah, that's a change.
So, where do you see India in the next decade in the edtech market worldwide?
Where do you see, or where would I like it to see?
You would like it to see? What would be desirable for you?
So, what is not desirable for me personally, it is desirable for all of us. I think we have a lot of talent in the country. If the EdTech, what it allows us to do, the fact that you have a Zoom connection or a Google Meetup connection and a bunch of virtual classrooms, um, a bunch of us can give a lot to the world, and bunch of us can take a lot from the world. So somebody used to ask me, you are creating these complex robotics kits, will they ever be used? I used to tell them that, maybe I don't have the faith on the education system, or forgive me all the teachers out there, but I have a lot of faith on YouTube and students. So when a child looks at the YouTube, the child can learn a lot. So the whole world has a lot to offer to us in terms of our, we have a huge population that needs to get educated, and get needs to get educated in a quality manner. So the fact that amazing, incredible content is available is something that will be of tremendous help. So tech will help India also. And then the fact that we have so many incredible people, whether it is teachers, students, or so many other folks, and we have so much to offer to the world. I think tech will also provide as a platform where our kids would be partnering with peers from America, from Germany, from Russia, or whatnot places in the world. But at the same time, our teachers and students would be possibly launching these incredible teaching sessions to people across the world. So from that perspective, I see a lot of give and take that will happen in the domain of edtech in next 10 years. And the net, I would say, is a benefit only. So there's nothing going, we are not going to lose out in anything.
Sir, you mentioned that you believe more in video learning. So, if you had to
I
start,
never said that I believe in video learning.
you said that you like more to learn from YouTube and other
I
resources.
said, so yeah, it allows. So yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
So, sir, if you had to start a school yourself, what changes would you see other than the normal schools?
I would actually, if I have to start a school myself, I will not start a school in metros like Delhi or NCR. I would start a school in the mountains. This is my wishful thinking, right? This is my dream. And dreams don't have any logic. So I would most likely open a school like Rancho did it in Three Idiots in the mountains, and I would completely do away with examinations, and the school will be very interest based. There'll be an arts part of a school, a literature part of the school, innovation part of the school, and the school will not have more than 100 kids maximum. I think that also I'm taking it to a higher level, and the way we would do is, if we feel like doing art, we will do art. If we feel like innovating, we'll innovate, and the school will be school of life.
So you will be focusing more on skills rather than the textbook and rote knowledge.
No, but no, 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 no. See, road based learning any which ways has no place. So anyone who's a proponent of road based learning or factual learning, I think they're living in some stone age.
And sir, what were the reason that you said that you would not be choosing metro cities for your school?
um, I mean, I can't bring great good air to people. I mean, that is, I can do anything, but I cannot bring good quality air, good quality water, uh, great places to play. So I, as a kid, had a fantastic childhood because I could ride. I had a bike, not the motorbike, but a bicycle, and I could go from my place in Panjai Bagh to Rohini with my friends and absolutely not worry. My parents were not worried. I was not worried about the traffic. So I cannot provide a carefree environment to a learner today in a city. So that's the reason I would choose it in a rural setting or a mountain setting. But again, coming back to the question, I do want to put some focus on, when I say that, you're probably making it sound like a binary. Binary is in 1 or 0, which is road based learning or skill based learning. No, road based learning, I don't see any value. There is no value I see or you can see. I mean, yes, probably some very primal brain development value where you can learn some facts. This is important because it's almost like you're accessing some part of your brain. As it is a good exercise to do, it makes you focused, it brings you in the moment when you are essentially looking at some factual knowledge. But a lot of skill based knowledge also is nothing but a manifestation of a lot of concepts that you have learned. You getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Right? I mean, if I'm putting some gears or wheels or into motion in a robot, I have probably learned that as a concept. That's why I'm now putting it. I mean, if I want to do a mechanical advantage, I want to gear up, or I want to use compound pulleys. I need to understand what tension is. I need to understand what force is. I need to understand what is a mechanical advantage or concept of mechanical advantage. So if I don't know, if I have zero conceptual knowledge, and I'm just doing something, that is also not something which I'm proponent of. So you have to understand the abstract part of
Yes.
knowledge, and then you have to put to application.
Yes. Sir, you said that location you would be choosing will be mountain. In business like Avishkar or in any other technological business, would location be a factor for the success of business?
Yeah, it is.
In
Absolutely.
in your case,
Absolutely. I'll tell you how.
yes.
When I started, so I make hardware kits, right? So what goes into a hardware kit? You have PCBs,
Yes.
you have components which are mounted on those PCBs. Then you have some suppliers who have the machinery to ensure that SMD, which is surface mounting, happens in a very accurate manner. Then you need packaging boxes, you need manuals, you need plastics, you need molds, injection molding. So all these things are possible where an ecosystem happens. I mean, why is the reason that China has become so successful? Because they have a whole ecosystem available, right? For instance, if I was living in, let's assume, Jagadri, or if I was living in some Shimla, I don't think I would be able to find a PCB manufacturer there, or I would not have a market which is supplying electronic components, or I would not have a printing press which is developing boxes or producing boxes in a cost efficient manner. So wherever you are, and then of course people also, right? You need people as well, right? So the fact that you have, if you know, it is far more easier to start a software company out of Bangalore, is because if I pick up a stone and throw it at anyone in a crowded space, most likely it will end up hitting a software engineer,
Software engineer.
right? So building software there is easy because the supply is there of people. So supply of hard material, supply of people, supply of ecosystem is something which is very critical. So that's why I feel, in a way, I was blessed to start this business in Delhi because I had access to all that supply chain. It would have been far more easier for me to do that in Shenzhen, in China, but far more difficult for me to do something like this in Rewari or in Rohtak or in Baddi.
Yes, sir. Sir, as we move towards the end of this conversation, I would like to ask what advice would you give to the students from your end about the field of ideation and entrepreneurship?
I think, I would not go to very high level advanced concepts. I would like people to stick to the basics. I said that earlier in the day. I think one of the very rare commodity these days, I'll talk about three things. The first thing which I feel that kids, if they can, or parents, if they can develop in their children, in this day and age. So again, a lot of things that I would say are counterintuitive or are conflicting. So while I come from the domain of technology and I would say protect the brain.
Yes.
I would not say augment the brain with all the AI based information that you are getting from everywhere. All the social media barrage, all the knowledge that you are getting from everywhere, all the media barrage, whether it is news or social media reels or or um, whatever you have, in terms of all the information that is bombarding your head at all points of time. If you as a parent or if you as a child can protect yourself from that and keep your mind with focus and attention, I think you are a rare commodity in this world.
Yes.
That is the first thing I would say. If you can somehow protect your brain, if you can somehow practice self control and not give in to the dopamine effect of consuming content at every minute and second of the day, you will have a superpower.
Yes.
So that's first thing I would say. Second is, again, very counterintuitive. If you can create a routine of some sort of a physical exercise in your life, you will do very well in your entrepreneurial goals. Because for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to be attentive. You have to be not only attentive, you have to be very, you have to be fairly rugged. So entrepreneurship in India is not for faint of heart. So if you can maintain your health by having a good physical routine, whether it is running or going to a gymnasium or practicing some sport, I would suggest please do it. And the last and the final thing. So first thing I said was protect your brain. Second is have a physical routine. Third is eat those parathas. So what I mean by eat those parathas is a lot of one thing. A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs started with me. A lot of people in my organization started with me. It's been 15 years. Knock on the wood, I have had no major, health issues in my life, whether it is blood pressure, diabetes, or other problems. Part of the reason is somehow I have loved the prantas that my mom used to make, and I still have a very hearty breakfast in the morning. And a good breakfast can take care of any sort of a day.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for taking your time with us today. I hope the audience would be inspired by our insights and would engage in activities like entrepreneurship and ideation. Thank you, everyone, for giving your time with us.
It's been an honor and a privilege, Sarthak. Thank you very much for inviting me here.